And let's go now to the former Republican Congressman Ken Buck, who was one of the 8 Republicans who had voted to oust then Speaker Kevin McCarthy. So, Congressman, you heard Sondland talk about some of the conspiracies Greene has pushed over the years, and obviously now saying that, you know, if the Speaker doesn't do what she wants regarding Ukraine, she's going to go ahead with what she can now do, right? Just takes one to force a vote on the speakership. Does it worry you that she has this much power in the House of Representatives?
Well, Marjorie has this much power because we have such a small majority at this point in time. Mike Johnson, the speaker, is on the right side of history, and Marjorie is on the wrong side of history. We know that Russia is propagating these false statements, narratives about what's going on in Ukraine. We know that she is getting her talking points from Russia. And we know that they're false. And Mike Johnson is doing the responsible thing by trying to make sure we get a vote on Ukraine funding, make sure that the Ukrainian people can fight for their freedom. The fact that Marjorie is continuing down this false path, I don't think many Republicans are going to support her. There will be some. And I expect that the Democrats recognize this moment in history and the importance of being bipartisan in supporting Mike Johnson.
Well, we will see. I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms, I guess, as we could say. But Congressman, she has been going after Speaker Johnson over the Ukraine funding, obviously, specifically. But then she just recently suggested to Tucker Carlson something that, you know, sort of took me aback. She had no evidence to back it up, but she said that the whole reason that he may be doing this is because Johnson may be being blackmailed. Let me just play the exchange.
Mike Johnson has made a complete departure of who he is and what he stands for. And to the point where people are literally asking, is he blackmailed? What is wrong with him? Because he's completely disconnected with what we want.
Do you think he is being blackmailed?
I have no idea.
All right, so she's saying people are literally asking, is he being blackmailed? Then says she has no idea when Tucker asked her again. Do you take this seriously?
No, I think it's irresponsible. As so many of the statements that Marjorie has made over the years are completely irresponsible. The idea that somehow the speaker is corrupt because he believes that we should be supporting an ally that's been invaded by a war criminal, Vladimir Putin. And the idea that somehow anybody who is in agreement with Ukraine and our NATO allies is corrupt. It's just another distraction that she uses to take away from the core arguments that are so important.
So, you know, when you talk about her, it is a bit different, obviously, than what the man you voted to remove as Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, said about her. In fact, this weekend, he said this about Congresswoman Greene.
And the one thing I've always found about Marjorie is she's a very serious legislator that deals with policy. And the best way to deal with anyone like that is sit down and talk to them.
You've worked with her more recently. Does what he say add up to you at all? And
well, I think Kevin is much more experienced talking to Marjorie about policy than I do, first of all. Secondly, my experience with Marjorie is people have talked to her about not filing articles of impeachment on President Biden before he was sworn into office, on not filing articles of impeachment that were groundless on other individuals in the Biden administration. And she was never moved by that. She was always focused on her social media account. And Moscow Marjorie is focused now on this Ukraine issue and getting her talking points from the Kremlin and making sure that she is popular and she is getting a lot of coverage.
all right. Well, Congressman, I appreciate your time and your blunt and honest words. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
Let's face it, randomly stop 10 people anywhere in the world and ask them to name their favourite Kennedy. The guy that nobody who really is serious about politics thinks is going to be president. His campaign director, a little tape of her speaking, has surfaced and leaked. I would say this is embarrassing because she's actually revealed her words. The sole aim of the Kennedy that nobody really cares about or can instantly remember is to help the election of one Donald J. Trump. Wow, slap my palm. What a surprise. Not.
So right now, the way that I see it, and, you know, things, I guess, will change over time because you do have to only pick one candidate at the end of the day. But the Kennedy voter and the Trump voter, the enemy, our mutual enemy is Biden. Whether you support Bobby or Trump, we all oppose Biden. 270 wins the election. If you don't get to 270, if nobody gets to 270, then Congress picks the president, right? Right now, we have a majority of Republicans in Congress. So who are they going to pick? Who are they going to pick? If it's a Republican Congress, they'll pick Trump. So we're rid of Biden either way. People kept continually telling me, wow, that's a really good idea. That's a really good idea. So, you know, I'm kind of mulling it around. What should I do with this? What should I do with this? And then I got a call from the campaign, and, you know, they were going to hire me as their New York State director. And I said, okay, I want to take the job, but I'm going to tell you right now that this is part of my messaging. And if I'm allowed to preach that, if I'm allowed to, you know, get that message out there, then yeah, I will definitely work for the campaign, but I don't want to be restricted in what I say, because I think this is a really winning strategy. And my boss said, well, okay.
That's why this election is about one thing. It's America or Trump.
The thing about the wind, they make things go up and they make things go down. A bit like Trump's shares. There is another word, by the way, in case you were thinking of investing your hard-earned dollars in Truth. Truth, what hello. Truth Social. It's a scam. It's not me making it up.
Meantime, Trump media, the social media stock plummeting another 12% today over the last week. It is down more than 34%. Remember, the stock just debuted via a SPAC merger last Tuesday. So let's go back in time, like to last week, the day that Trump media, DJT, made its debut on the NASDAQ, and to what your next guest had to say about it on this very program.
This is the most overhyped meme stock since the meme stock mania. In any other universe, in any other world, with any other sort of name or person associated with it, this would be a penny stock. And that is not, you know, that's not a good thing to say.
Herb Greenberg joining us now, CNBC contributor, author of the Substack newsletter, Herb on the Street. Don't you love it when we bring you on, Herb, because you were right? Like, you know, if you were wrong and we brought you on, you'd probably be mad. But we just gave you a shout out.
It's always nice. Well, it's not a penny stock yet. And so, but it's on, it looks like it's on its way to go lower, but who knows, between here and there, it can go much higher.
Yeah, and good point, because we don't know who's buying this thing. The president, former president, very polarizing guy. Some people hate him, some people love him. So this is kind of a stock that could swing with a lot of different wins, I would imagine.
It could, but as everybody has said, from me on to everyone or anybody, is based on fundamentals, the stock doesn't deserve to be anything but ultimately the penny stock that many of us think it ultimately will be. Some people say it's a stock that's going to either go to zero or it will end up being state TV. Depends on your perspective.
I think somebody once said deserve ain't got nothing to do with it. Can't remember where that was. Herb.
Why would you how could you put a value on it? They're buying it for other reasons, just like they bought theaters when there was no theater business, or they bought GameStop or whatever. It's stupid. It's stupid. Why are you even talking about this? It's a scam, just like everything he's ever been involved in is some sort of con.
Let me pivot.
Amazing survival of a con man is just beyond comprehension, but there it is.
Maybe it's the deep state above me. There's a deep state secret operator in the sky for the shite. Anyway, the resident, maybe, I can't think how we should describe Jessica on the 5. The resident hero, that's the best thing. 4 against 1 as always.
They barely show up for Biden. But let me ask you this. You know a lot of Trump supporters. Do we need to be deprogrammed? Be careful.
That's why I come to work every day. No, it is correct that conservatives are much more tolerant of liberals and spending time with them than liberals are of conservatives. That shows up especially in the dating data, that a liberal would never consider going out with a conservative. In the Trump era, obviously things have been different since 2016. So James Carville and Mary Matlin are not happening round 2 there. I think The Rock, yes, he's promoting stuff, but did get a lesson in you can alienate people when you put a perspective out there like that. He's a smart businessman. But we don't know how he's voting. He could very well vote for Joe Biden again. He's just not going to talk about it. And I thought that that was an interesting undercurrent, that Will didn't really push him on. He didn't say, well, what does that mean? He just let him say, my endorsement led to a lot of division. And that really tears me up because he is someone who is liked by people on the left and on the right. And that's a pretty rare thing. There are very few kind of iconic people that are beloved on both sides. But you said in your lead-in question to Jesse, it's just bad news for Biden. The jobs report today was a monster.
Wait 3 months.
Fine when it gets revised down. Also, the part-time jobs, and there's data looking at this. That's a trend that's been happening. It obviously was accelerated through COVID with people opting into that. You still don't add 15 million jobs, and even taking away what we got back from COVID, he's adding jobs at a faster clip than Trump to go up to 303,000 when it was supposed to be 214.
But it's
is
going
an
to be
achievement.
revised.
But it's not.
And we don't do the story when we revise it. We only do this.
That's not true. I hear it all the time. But the revision,
you know what?
guys,
you can talk about the stats, but it's whether or not the people
but actually,
feel it.
people are feeling it on top of it. Yes, there was really interesting data that came out about people's perspective on the national economy versus their state economies. And they looked at all of the swing states. And people thought the national economy was terrible. It was like at a -30. And individual economies in Wisconsin, in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Arizona, all the states that you need to win to become
so why
president.
is Trump ahead in those states?
Well, first of all, if you look at it, those polls were within the margin of error. I have talked to you about
all but
a
one.
margin of error. It is a jump ball. That's what's going on. If this was the worst economy in the world, which is what you would say about it, there is no way that we would be even close to this. It would be a runaway for the person on the top of the Republican ticket. And it's not, because people know wage growth is up. It's going past the rate of inflation. Unemployment, 3.8%, 26-month streak. We haven't seen that since the 1960s. You have to give some level of credit when credit is due. You have to.
$25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-use MyPillows, just $25. MyPillow sandals, $25. Their 6-pack towel sets, you guessed it, $25. Their new 4-pack dish towels, $25. And for the first time ever, the premium MyPillow with all new Giza fabric is just $25.
I think that's a very underserved market in our country, which is why you've seen things like Duck Dynasty and Yellowstone get so big. Is because, while I don't mind a gay person or a trans person being part of a television or film program, I don't need to see one every time I turn one on just because it's some DEI crap. It's like
a warning. Childishness and immaturity is about to slip into your screen like right now. Have you seen Donnie Two Hands?
Hands. Nobody has ever hit my hands. I've never heard of this one. Look at those hands. Are they small hands? And he referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem.
HRSE-SHIT. There we are.
Hey everybody, it's RNC co-chair Lara Trump. If you can't afford a donation today, I ask that you would save it for a later date. But if you can donate even as much as $5, it will go a long way.
And now we shouldn't laugh, but a man who once allegedly got a Trump pardon, Sheriff Joe, is upset that somebody has stolen his Joe for straight face, Tony, his Joe for Mayor poster. We do have some CCTV that Joe has put up, along with, as I said, $1,000 reward if you can find who the culprit is.